Michael, an experienced hunter and nature lover, decided to spend the day in the forest, enjoying the silence and beauty of the surrounding world. He had always loved walking along familiar trails where he could observe animals and listen to the sounds of the woods. On this day, he felt particularly at peace when suddenly something unusual caught his attention. As he walked a little further, he stumbled upon a small clearing where he saw a huge bear. The creature lay on the ground, its paw caught in a trap. Michael froze in horror. The bear looked frightened and exhausted. Its eyes were filled with pain and fear. The hunter knew that bears were wild creatures and that approaching them could be dangerous. But instead of fear, he felt a desire to help. "Easy there, brother," Michael said softly, crouching down. "I won't harm you." The bear let out a low growl and tried to break free from the trap, but only hurt itself further. Michael took out his knife and began carefully freeing the animal's paw. At that moment, he noticed that the bear was looking at him with confusion and even hope. "Let me help you," Michael said, trying to speak in a calming tone. He knew that the bear might perceive him as a threat, but couldn't leave it in such a dire situation. When the trap finally opened, the bear broke free and jumped aside. Michael felt disappointment. He didn't want to just leave it alone in such a state. But the bear didn't run far. He stopped and looked at the man with gratitude in his eyes. "You don't have to be afraid of me," said Michael with a smile. The bear hesitated, but then slowly approached Michael. The hunter took out bandages and herbs for first aid from his backpack. He began to treat the wound on the bear's paw, which now trustingly allowed him to do so. Days passed. Michael stayed close to the bear, who gradually recovered. They became true friends. The hunter shared his stories about life in the forest, and the bear listened to him attentively. Every morning they went for walks in the forest together. Michael showed the bear places with berries and water sources. They collected raspberries and blueberries together. One day they stumbled upon an old tree with a hollow. It was full of bees. The bear curiously approached the tree and began to sniff it. "Be careful," warned Michael with a smile. "Bees can be aggressive." But the bear just looked at him in confusion and continued to explore the tree. Soon he found several fallen berries near the hollow and began to feast on them. This sight made Michael laugh. He never thought he would witness a wild animal enjoying life so carefree. As the wound on the bear's paw began to heal, their friendship grew stronger. Every evening they returned to the campfire. Michael cooked food for himself and shared leftovers with the bear. One day he made stewed meat with mushrooms and berries. "This dish is called forest stew," he explained to his bear friend, showing him pieces of meat. "I hope you like it." The bear watched him closely with his deep eyes. It seemed he truly understood every word of the man. When Michael placed a piece of meat in front of him, the animal cautiously approached the food and began to eat with obvious pleasure. Soon they spent time not only eating or walking in the forest. The hunter began teaching his friend various sounds of nature. He imitated bird song or rustling leaves under animals' paws. "Listen, this is the sound of a squirrel," he said one day during a walk in the forest. The bear listened attentively to the sound. Soon they saw a squirrel quickly darting across tree branches. "See? She is very fast," laughed Michael. The bear responded with a low growl. It seemed he was also laughing at the squirrel's agility. One day they came across a beautiful lake among trees. The water was as clear as glass. Michael decided to take a swim and invited his friend to join him. "Let's refresh ourselves," he shouted cheerfully. The bear hesitated at first by the shore. The water was cold for him after a long winter, but soon curiosity took over. The animal cautiously entered the water next to the man. They splashed around each other under the bright sun. It was a moment of true friendship between man and wild beast. After swimming, they had a picnic by the lake. Michael took out crackers and cheese snacks for himself and some berries for the bear. They sat next to each other under the shade of trees. The hunter told stories about his adventures in the forest. "Do you know about that time I met a fox? She was so cunning," laughed Michael. The bear listened carefully to his stories. Sometimes it even seemed that he cast approving or surprised glances with his big nose. Every morning, Michael woke up to sounds of birds singing and rustling leaves. He cooked breakfast by the campfire and shared it with the bear. They explored forest trails together. The hunter showed animals places with berries and water sources. One day they stumbled upon a beautiful lake surrounded by tall trees. Michael sat on its shore, watching sunlight reflect off its surface. The bear approached him and cautiously dipped his paw into the water. "Do you like water?" asked Michael with a smile. The bear looked at him with his deep eyes as if understanding every word of man. They spent all day by the lake, playing in water and enjoying moments of friendship together. One night, Michael woke up from loud growling and found himself surrounded by a pack of wild animals. They encircled him from all sides. Their eyes sparkled in darkness like stars in night sky. The hunter's heart raced with fear. The pack could attack him because he helped their friend, the bear. But instead, one of them stepped closer. It was that very wounded bear. "Calm down! I mean, you no harm," shouted Michael in panic. The bear turned towards his pack and began growling louder than ever before. The pack froze. They looked at each other in confusion. At that moment, something unexpected happened. The wounded bear approached Michael and rested his head on his shoulder. The pack stood still in anticipation. They watched this scene of friendship between man and one of their own. Suddenly, one of older animals stepped forward and began sniffing at Michael. "I just wanted to help your friend," said Hunter hopefully. The pack continued watching them. Tension in air was palpable. But then, older male turned towards others and let out a low growl. It was a sign of agreement. At that moment, one of young cubs stepped forward towards man. Its curiosity overcame fear of stranger. It cautiously approached closer to Michael's feet and started sniffing at his boots. "Hello, little friend," said Hunter softly, crouching down before cub. The pack stood frozen in surprise. The man showed no aggression towards any of them. The cub raised its head up towards its parent wounded bear, who watched this scene with mixed feelings of pride for his human friend and concern for his children. Finally, older male stepped back from pack. It was sign that they could trust this man, for he saved their friend from trouble. The pack made their decision. If this man could save one of them, perhaps he could become part of their world. They slowly began retreating, leaving space for friendship between man and wild beast. That night, everyone fell asleep under stars, man among wild animals, each knowing that now they had a friend who would always be there when needed. The pack accepted Michael as a friend. He felt relieved. Now he was part of this wild nature world. Animals began behaving more relaxed around him. They even allowed him to come closer to their cubs. Michael continued caring for wounded bear for several more days. Together, they explored forest and enjoyed freedom. One day they found an old cave where they could shelter from rain or bad weather. "This place looks like our home," laughed Michael, showing cave to his friend. The bear carefully examined cave before lying down next to man by fire. They spent evening under stars telling each other stories about their lives, how man became hunter while beast became wild creature of forest. A few days later, Michael woke up one morning by fire, only to find traces of paws around him. His friend had disappeared. The hunter rushed out, searching for him through forest, heart pounding with anxiety. He searched all day without success. Evening came quickly, while hope faded with each passing hour. Finally, when sun was setting behind horizon, he heard familiar howling. It was pack. Michael hurried towards sound until soon saw them all together. Among them stood his friend, Bear. But now beside him were cubs, little fluffy creatures. The bear approached Michael, resting his head on shoulder. It was farewell before new beginning for both. The hunter understood. His friend had become part of something bigger, family. Tears welled up in Michael's eyes from happiness. He helped his friend survive and now saw him happy among his pack. The bear turned back towards its cubs, then looked again at man with gratitude shining through its gaze. Michael returned home feeling lighthearted. He knew he made right choice. Every time passing by that place in forest where they first met, warmth-filled memories about friendship between human being and wild beast flooded over him again like gentle breeze through trees swaying above ground below. Despite their paths diverging, Michael continued visiting forest every month during spring or autumn, always hoping to see his friend again among trees or by lake once more someday soon. One day, during one such strolls through woods noticed paw prints near water's edge. These were tracks belonging directly back to her beloved bear. Heart raced faster, excitement surged within chest. Perhaps still remember me after all? And though meeting remained uncertain until last moment within story itself, one thing remained clear. Bond forged between human being and wild creature proved stronger than any words spoken aloud or promises made. This tale about friendship served as reminder, reminding us all importance nature holds within our lives. place filled love and understanding shared amongst every living being. Months had passed since Michael last saw his friend the bear. He often returned to the forest, hoping to encounter him again. Each time he walked past the lake, he would stop and listen to the sounds of nature, hoping to hear that familiar growl. One day, while wandering through the woods, Michael noticed something unusual. Fresh bear tracks lay on the path. His heart raced with excitement. He decided to follow them, hoping they would lead him to his friend. The tracks led to an old cave they had explored together. Michael paused at the entrance and listened. Inside, he heard soft sounds. Someone was there. He cautiously entered the cave and saw his friend. The bear was sitting next to two cubs. "Hello!" Michael exclaimed joyfully. The bear turned and happily approached him. He embraced Michael with his large nose, while the cubs began to play around them. "You have a family now," Michael said with a smile. "I'm so happy for you." The bear proudly lifted his head and showed his children that this man was their friend. Michael spent time with the cubs, playing with them and sharing stories of his adventures in the forest. With each passing day, Michael grew closer to the cubs. He became a part of their lives, bringing food and showing them safe places to play. The cubs were curious and playful. They explored the forest alongside Michael and their father. One day, while they were walking through the woods, Michael noticed a group of people in the distance. They were hunters! His heart raced with fear. He knew that hunters could pose a danger to bears. "We need to get out of here," he said urgently to the bear. The bear understood the danger and quickly led his cubs deeper into the forest. Michael followed them, trying not to attract the hunters' attention. They found shelter under thick trees and froze in anticipation. When the hunters passed by, Michael breathed a sigh of relief. He looked at the bear and his children. They were safe thanks to his vigilance. "We have to be careful," he said seriously. "The forest is full of dangers, but together we can handle anything." The bear looked at him with gratitude. He knew that now they had a friend who would always be there in tough times. From that day on, Michael became not only a friend to the bear, but also a protector of his family. They continued exploring the forest together, enjoying every moment of friendship and adventure. And although paths between humans and animals sometimes diverge, the bond between them remained stronger than ever. Every time he returned to the forest, Michael knew he would always be part of this amazing world of wildlife.